Hey, Flick and Reel fans, what's going on? It is your hosts of the News and Views show here on the Fancast. One, Jesse Swift, and of course, Scott Fox. How we all doing today?
Fantastic. Glad to be here. Excited to talk movies.
Some things. As you can see in the thumbnail and also in the description, some interesting stuff here. Obviously, we always talk about trailers, and we got a plethora of them dropped all in one day. So my internet's crapping out.
No worries.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining here today, and we will get. Oh, actually, before we want to do the new segment before we get into the topics?
Yeah, let's launch off today. Give people a chance to warm up and join us with some comments and engagement. But here's the fun thing. Every week when we get together on Monday, if you may not know this, Jesse is a hardcore trivia fan. Participates in the Schmodown, the movie trivia Schmodown. I am a hardcore trivia fan as well, but mine's more of a broad everything. Jesse's really blows me out of the water when it comes to movies. But to kind of warm us up, get you guys chatting with us, I am going to test Jesse at the start of our shows and see how well you guys do with some of these. And I will pick a category at random based on my own liking and the fact that I'm older and I know a lot of weird movies that Jesse doesn't. And I'm going to challenge him.
This is designed to make me feel awful. It's okay, though, because I just had a Robin Hood.
Yes. So you had a Robin Hood. Sorry, you cut out there for a second on my end. But basically, what I'm going to do is tell you a category, and then I'm going to ask you 5, 6, up to no more than 10, because we want to keep this short as just an intro to the show. But this is the first one. And today's category is catchphrases.
Maybe.
Oh, so I don't need the movie. I don't need the actor. I want the catchphrase and the character who said it.
Fun.
And so these are kind of, some are classics, some might be a little more challenging, and some are going to be right in your wheelhouse, I know as well.
0 for 10. Here we go.
All right. Bonus points if you can tell me the movie and the actor, but it's about the character.
I'm getting out of the comments, so you guys in the comments can play along, and I won't cheat them. And if you guys have ideas for other types of trivia you'd like us to do as a warm-up here, donate to that Streamlabs link down there. Give us some suggestions. That's www.streamlabs.com/flickandreel. We'll pull from there for maybe some of the following weeks. But with that, throw it at
now,
me, Scott.
These catchphrases should be the ones that basically are the ones that after the movie, everyone keeps repeating. And you hear all the time. So, good morning, Vietnam.
You said not the actor, but the character?
The character. Oh, that makes that so much harder. Now, if you can tell me the actor in the movie, that's pretty easy.
Good morning, Vietnam, Robin Williams.
Clearly.
But I don't know the character's name.
Based on a true story, it is actually Adrian Cronauer, which
the more you know.
Most people remember
Scott's
Robin Williams.
So that next season I can enter singles in the Schmodown. So that's what Scott's trying to prep me for here.
All right. Hey, you guys.
That is the Goonies and Any Other Day. Come on, buddy. You know his name. My brain's telling me Sloth. That's not right.
That is correct.
That is correct. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes. Trust your instincts, Jesse. As a trivia competitor, you know that your initial gut reaction is correct 80% of the time.
I need a Babe Ruth.
Also, that Baby Ruth. All right. Now, I feel like I didn't intend to do this, but 80s movies really did have a lot more better one-liners that they.
We get it, Scott. You're old.
Yes. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
So I'm not going to get the character name, but is that Apocalypse Now?
That is Apocalypse Now, and I'll be honest,
I
didn't know the character.
It's not Martin Sheen, is it? It's the other.
No, it's the other guy.
Yeah, it's the other guy. I can't think right now.
But it's Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore. And again, I would not.
Kilgore's a pretty subtle name, right?
Yes, very subtle. All right. Here's Johnny.
I'm getting half points all over the place. All right. That is Jack Nicholson in The Shining, whose name is... Wow. It's Jack in Batman. It's all work and no play makes...
Jack.
Is it also Jack? It's Jack. It's Jack in real life in 2 movies.
Yes,
that's upsetting.
I think more than 2 if you really dig into his stuff.
Again, I should have gone with my instinct, right? Because Jack is the first thing that came to mind. I was like, no, that's just because of Jack Napier in Batman.
It's Jack Torrance.
Yes, it is.
Very good.
Do at 11 a.m. But you know what?
Hey, you're doing now. This is a softball. I'm gonna lay up for you. Alrighty then.
Alrighty then would be Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Well done. And then I know Kung Fu.
That would be Neo, Keanu Reeves, The Matrix.
All right. And we're going to throw one last one.
These are fun.
You got to ask let me start that over. You got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Do you? Punk?
I won't know the last name, but I know it's Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry. That's Harry.
Harry is correct. Matter of fact, it even says speaking to a criminal suspect before arresting him as a description of why he's saying that. But it is Harry in Dirty Harry. So well done. You actually did quite well. I did not keep score because, this is our first time. And it was just for fun anyways, as a good way to get the show going. So.
All right. Well,
I feel like you do all the legwork. So I thought this week I would actually put some effort into our show and look up some trivia questions because that's like my favorite thing.
I appreciate that. That's fun. I didn't have a chance to ask you yet. We'll start trudging through our topics here. Did you have a chance to watch last week's What If?
I did not.
Okay.
I'll be honest. Last week, every day had something morning, midday, and evening all week. All weekend, and today carried that baton forward. So, no, not yet, but it is on my list of things to watch.
Oh, you know what? I'm not even looking at my notes. I'm so used to. So we started our new Sunday show last night, which is really just a kickback, no notes. We just kind of go and talk about whatever. We have guests on. The amount of time we spent talking about the Hey You Pikachu on the N64 last night was pretty good time. But so we do have things to discuss here. Before we dive into topics, we have a quick message for everyone viewing right now. We really want to grow this channel and devote more time and energy into making informative and entertaining content. And this can be achieved most simply by taking a second to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. It's really easy. If you haven't done it yet, click, 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 boom. Just make sure to hit that bell icon so you never miss a new upload, because we have news and views every Monday morning at 11 a.m. And then we have our Swift Wings Speakeasy news show that started last night, and that's Sundays at 11 p.m. Really easy to remember. Our shows are 12 hours apart. For now, those are just the 2 shows. Secondly, our dream does not stop at 150 subscribers. We are slowly approaching 200 subscribers, and that is a big goal that we want to have accomplished well before the new year. So podcasting is in fact what we love to do, and we both love to invest more into this channel, and you can help by visiting that link down there on the bottom, streamlabs.com/flick-n-real. Your donations will help immensely with building this channel into a geek-speaking utopia. So thank you. Plug, 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 blah, blah, blah. Great. That's out of the way.
Now, with the new show last night, I tuned in for you and Wingblade,
Yes,
Swift
sir.
Wings, and you guys did an awesome job. I really enjoyed tuning in and listening to you guys chat, because being a movie junkie, sometimes the unscripted lets you go wherever you want to go or wherever the people ask questions to go, and it makes it really fun and entertaining. Since you titled it the Swift Wings Speakeasy, did you guys have a hidden door that you could put your little alcohol
exactly.
kind of corner in?
We only drink water and moonshine on the Speakeasy channel.
Well, sometimes you got to water it down. That stuff can burn pretty bad. But you guys, that was fun to kind of tune in on. And I'll be honest, while I was watching, I had a lot of opinions, and I was just like, oh man, I should try and tune in or try and like hack into the show and speak my voice.
Man,
maybe next week.
If you would have just sent a message or something, I would invite you on there. I figure it's past your bedtime and you're unconscious. So
no, I actually yesterday I was so tired after church and after giving the message and everything that goes in with that I crashed midday and took a 2.5 hour nap. So I was up late because I was wired. And I probably had coffee
always
too late.
Invited. I just made the assumption that you weren't around. You are, of course, always invited.
Now you are correct. Because of my senior citizen status, I'm usually in bed at that time. So thank you. All right, on to actual topics.
All right, since Scott has not seen What If, this episode essentially was what if Thor was an only child and Odin gave Loki back to Laufey instead of taking it back to Asgard. So it's Thor basically embracing all of his worst attributes, and he becomes Party Thor. And he decides he's going to go to Earth and just throw a giant rager that's got like every character the MCU has ever offered having a party. It's a real fluffy episode. There's not a whole lot to it. I think the highlight is that they call in the big dog, and the big dog being Carol Danvers, to come and give Thor the what for and smack him around a bit and have him clean up the planet. More or less, that's the episode. They haven't been doing much for me lately. I think I like the concept of What If as we went along. Not to say it's a wash, but it's hit and miss generous, I think. I'm curious to see what they have coming up. There was a big tease at the end of this episode for how they might wrap up the entirety of the season, so that's exciting to see.
Did they find an unnecessary way to kill Iron Man in this one?
No, they just didn't have him exist, which is weird because there's so many things about this episode where it's like, wouldn't Iron Man be like around? But I don't know, he's probably already dead in this universe. Who knows?
Yeah, What If is one I've got to just sit down, binge, and get caught back up on.
They're only like 25 minutes. It's not too hard to do.
No, well, instead of doing What If, I followed your lead from recommendations last week, and I started watching Wellington Paranormal.
Did you?
Which, by the way,
okay, we're pausing. We're pausing.
Choice. I got through 3 episodes. So stupidly good. It is British humor, but obviously New Zealand humor, which is very similar, but it's just off the charts stupid. Like they're in the midst of a paranormal event, and they're like they can't quite grasp what's happening, and the whole alien in the field of corn in episode 2 was just I love the writing, kind of the absent-minded not coming to realization of what they're actually dealing with, but trying to find a regular excuse for the absurdity. It was gold.
I want you to go into more Wellington when we get into our what are we watching segment. But
yeah.
I will say the very first episode when there's a demon that's like body hopping and it gets into the dog, it's like, your mom's going to hell. He's like, their dog was saying some off-color things about my mother.
It's spot on. It's perfect. And it very much has that Taika Waititi feel.
I'm so glad that somebody else has seen it because I have yet to come across somebody that's even heard of it.
I'll be honest, HBO Max has a ton of stuff, and most of it is I kind of want to see, but I've seen a lot of it. And when you recommended Wellington Paranormal, especially knowing that Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi are behind it, I had bypassed that several times, not really thinking much of it. Just another paranormal show. But the fact that they take a cop's angle on it, and then there's a secret door, and he puts in his code 5. I got a secret password, and then he pushes it in. They're like, so it was 5, and he goes, no, there's more. Beep, 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 beep. And then pulls the cabinet open. But it's a secret door in a hallway that nobody knows is there. But the fact that the password is 5 to let him in the secret code.
I don't know if you've
gold.
gotten there, but he keeps changing how he gets in there. Like he pretends he like puts his finger there, and it's like finger scan recognized. You guys heard that, right? Okay.
It was good though. Yeah, I'm only a couple episodes in, but it was definitely one of the recommendations that I took forward, and I really enjoyed. So sorry, I know that derailed where we were beginning.
Thank you so much for the very smooth transition into talking about streaming, because Netflix dropped a whole bunch of new trailers just a couple days ago. One of them I was really highly anticipating. I didn't realize it was going to be like Netflix, like here's all of our trailers. I was getting really excited about the Sandman trailer. I was hoping it was more of a trailer, but it was kind of just a teaser. And I think if you don't know anything about the Sandman, this teaser is not going to be what sells you, because it gives very, very little. I want to talk so much more about the Sandman, but
this is just the trailer was just, or the teaser was just a cult summoning ceremony to draw somebody out, and from what I gathered from it, they're summoning a version of death of some sort.
That's the attempt,
or an attribute of it. But what they got is the dreams. They got the Sandman portion of it.
Yes,
which
death is Dream's sister.
Okay.
And there's in the I'm going to keep saying in the comics, but really I'm getting all of my information from the Audible. But every time I look something up on Google, the Audible is like going line by line, and the only thing they add into the Audible is descriptions, because you're not seeing it. It's very, very like bit by bit. But when they get Dream and he finally like talks to somebody, he said like, or the world doesn't know how grateful they should be that they didn't summon my sister. The cast looks really great. It's interesting. They've done a little bit of gender bending, some race bending, but you're dealing with a lot of these characters that are referred to as the endless. And I think when you have things that are like deities or gods, I think you have a lot more fluidity in things like that, because they really change appearances all the time. Anyways,
thank you, my son, for making his weekly appearance. My daughter, I'm sure, at some point will do the same. The definitely will not be a show I'll be watching with my kids.
No.
I liked it in that I don't know anything about this, and I'm blanking on the actor's name, but the gentleman who was orchestrating the
Charles Dance,
yes,
from Game of Thrones, Tywin Lannister.
He's been around so much longer than that. I remember him from The Golden Child back in the late 1980s with Eddie Murphy. Great actor. He certainly brings a lot of presence, and he is kind of a perfect fit to be leading this kind of cult raising.
Everything I know about the character, that's spot on.
Yeah, and so I was as soon as I saw him on screen, I'm like, okay, so it's got a legit cast of actors. It's got good quality actors in it.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, Gwendolyn Christie is going to be playing Lucifer.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
So, yeah, that's all that to say. The teaser was certainly a teaser. It didn't tell you anything about what the show is. It didn't show you anything beyond this initial point. And you really had to pay attention to what was being said in order to catch even the little bit that you did.
And that voice you hear in the second half of the trailer is Boyd Holbrook from Logan.
Okay.
Who's going to be playing the Corinthian, who is nightmare fuel. The way he's described in the Audible is terrifying, so I had to look up comic images. He wears sunglasses all the time. So he is one of Dream's escaped nightmares from the dream realm that's just wreaking havoc, and he is, I would just say, just gathering the worst of humanity and making them all feel validated for their worst sins. So all the worst things that they do, whether it's murder, rape, what have you, in their minds, they are so justified because of the Corinthians' effect on them. And, when he takes his sunglasses off, though, his eyes are 2 more pairs of mouths. It's terrifying.
Well, if that doesn't add to your nightmare as a form of fuel, I'm not sure what else than to see that. The only other thing I can think of is in Pan's Labyrinth, when he's got the guy with the eyes on the hands and no eyes, but he puts his hands up there so he can see everything.
To see Guillermo del Toro tackle Sandman.
Oh,
but it would have to be a series. The series is the right way to do this story.
Well, that's good. We have that discussion quite regularly about whether, because so many great properties are forced into Dune, is being forced into a movie when we both agree a series would give it more time to develop without rushing the story. And so, the hope is they do it right. And if certain stories you want to be a series because you want them to be able to really draw it out and give it full justice. And too often we see great properties just jam packed into a movie and they cut all the good stuff out in order to make it fit in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we're supposed to. I guess we're supposed to be talking about all the Netflix stuff, but like Sandman's what I was really excited about, so it's really easy for me to. I mean, John Constantine got well known off of Sandman. Martian Manhunter makes an appearance in there. Arkham Asylum has a big role in the first bit, but the reason it should be a show is because the story's not told in a linear fashion. They hop around centuries because he's an endless being. And then the stories re-tie in together.
Question, since you're mentioning Martian Manhunter, Constantine, some of the other characters, are those DC properties? Sandman a DC property?
Sandman is a DC property. It's a DC comic, yeah. I should say when I say DC property, but yeah.
I was about to ask you, was this a Dark Horse property or one of the other ones? I wasn't sure who was producing.
I think Neil Gaiman is working with Netflix, and he has like kind of the rights to Sandman. I think Neil Gaiman from, of course, Stardust. The last thing I'll say about Sandman before moving on is it is such a progressive story. It ran from 1989, to 1996, so about 7 years. And the amount of transgender, non-binary, gay, all like spectrums were represented so well in this story. And I'm like, this story could have been written yesterday and would still feel like it's ahead of its time. And I think it's very refreshing. You, sir, I know you listen to Audible from time to time, and you said this isn't a show you can watch with your kids. Well, you can listen to Audible. Plug those headphones in.
No, it's just a show you have to watch really late.
Yeah. You might not want to. That could be nightmare fuel. Act 1 and Act 2 are both on Audible, and each one's about 12 hours right now. And if that doesn't sell you, James McAvoy plays Dream. Ooh. And if you want some sweet nothings being whispered into your ear, that is a sultry voice for Audible, my friend.
Now, question: is he using his natural Scottish accent, or is he inflecting
it's somewhere in the
else?
Mix? It's something in the mix.
So it's a toned down Scottish accent. It's not as thick as his normal one. But McAvoy, such a great actor, and to hear him, to know that I'll have to go check that out just because I know.
Look at the cast list for it: Kat Dennings.
Oh, really?
Michael Sheen. Riz Ahmed. John Lithgow is in Act 2.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Lithgow's fantastic also. One of the most underrated villains in any movie because he's such a lovable guy when you see him in comedies like Third Rock from the Sun, so many shows. But then in movies, as a bad guy, he is so intimidating and scary. But then you also see him in the show The Crown where he plays Churchill and he's dynamite.
Ironically, you bring up Third Rock from the Sun. And the last time that Sandman almost came to fruition was with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was going to, I believe, direct and star in the property, but never got off the ground. Neil Gaiman's been very, very protective of this property. So the fact that he's so involved here and so supporting it gives me a lot of hope. Last time I checked, it said it was coming out before the end of the year. Netflix usually doesn't give you trailers too long before they come out. So I'm hoping we get it in like December.
No, Netflix springs stuff on you right before it happens. Like their marketing team is not always the greatest.
This will be one of the few times. Usually I'm like, I like the weekly release, like Mandalorian, WandaVision, stuff like that. Sandman, I'm like, yeah, give me the season. Drop it. Yeah. I'm going to binge the whole thing so fast.
Yeah, do the full dump and let's just get on with this. All right. There's more trailers that came. I believe Cowboy Bebop was number 2 on our list.
Incredibly popular anime, something that anybody that I've talked to that's a fan of anime has brought up many times. I know very little about it. I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert. It's always had very dynamic imagery, I think. I love John Cho as an actor. I know there's some people saying that he's too old for the lead role. Remains to be seen. I haven't seen either this adaptation or the original, but the imagery that they had for this like opening credits, they released the opening credits.
The
for
opening sequence.
I'm having a lot of fun already. I'm interested in checking this out if I find time.
It had very much a very stylized 1970s Charlie's Angels Shaft type of cop feel, and there are 3 bounty hunters or cowboys, and the just the way it's presented, the feel of it. I actually, in the midst of watching it, had a thought like this feels like a Tarantino type of Kill Bill-esque, the way they did the comic book settings with everything being bracketed and put into the trailer. The music, it all had that really cool hip, but not fake forcing it like we're trying to be hip, but we're not. It was very cool. The kind of the kung fu action sequences tied in with the gun work, like almost like a or bebops.
I don't know if they're cowboys or bebops or rocksteadies.
Boom boom for all you Ninja Turtle fans back there. Yeah. The overall feel, and it almost had that gung fu John Wick type feel with how they were using the guns in the trailer. But it looked really good, and it didn't give you too much about the show or what it's going to be about, really. But the opening sequence of what it will look like each week, at least for the first time you watch it, then every episode after that, you'll just be like bypass and skip credits. But it looked really cool. And I don't think Jonathan Cho is too old. I didn't get that feel out of the trailer. Like he didn't fit the character that he was portraying. I felt like it looked good.
I love seeing him do some of that Wing Chun fighting on the wooden dummies and stuff. Being a big fan of Ip Man, that was really cool to see. I think excited might be a little strong, but they've got me interested. I'm hooked by the trailer. I'll check it out.
I'm definitely going to give it at least 1 episode, if not 2, just to kind of see what everything is all about. But that was certainly the trailer gave it enough to want to at least take a look at it. I will say this though, even though Sandman showed less, Sandman did more to make me want to watch it than Cowboy Bebop did. And I have seen some of the anime Cowboy Bebop, and I'm always a little leery when they try and cross over the anime into live action. It's a really hard transition because anime fans are diehard anime fans, and they don't really like their properties being screwed with or messed up in any shape or form.
Let's look at the track record. Ghost in the Shell, Death Note, Dragon Ball Evolution. Not good.
Alita Battle Angel.
Whoa. First
that movie's actually pretty good. Ghost in the Shell was not worth watching half of it.
That was bad. No, I'll defend Alita Battle Angel.
No, Alita Battle Angel is pretty good.
We could, not perfect, but quite entertaining. We can, I think, slide over to some existing properties. Those are both new to Netflix, so that's cool that we're getting some new shows. I've needed something to bring me back onto Netflix. I've been on HBO, Hulu, Amazon, now Apple TV. I honestly haven't really ventured onto Netflix for a minute. So with all these shows, I'm like, oh, now I can finally spend some time on there. We have 2 shows returning. You can tell me which one you want to talk about first. Stranger Things season 4, finally, and The Witcher season 2.
I'll be honest. Let's move by. Let's talk Stranger Things so we can move past it, because The Witcher was the one that really caught me more. I
think it speaks to your sensibilities a bit.
Well, I'm more of a fantasy guy.
Yeah,
and I really love the Witcher books.
That's Stranger. That's just
no Stranger Things, and also seeing Superman on screen as anything is a huge tease for me, because I really love Henry Cavill. He is Superman, and I'll fight
always and forever.
I just want to say with Stranger Things, season 1, season 2, great. Season 3 was still good, but I kind of started waning interest in that. I feel like the show is becoming I don't know how to say this, almost a product of itself. Like it's trying, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 attempted to be as hip as Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And in doing so, it kind of overdid it. Mm-hmm. And this show is trying to, it almost feels like it has to keep ratcheting up all the stuff. And they lost some of the subtlety and what was really great about the first season. They lost a little bit of that in the second season, but it was still good. Season 3, it just kind of waned for me. And so I'll give it a view. Sure, I'm glad they're carrying the story forward. It's really good as a total story. I just kind of got tired of it, I think. Whereas The Witcher, the great thing about that is I know the background a little bit better, but then also just the storytelling. It's like this wonderful fantasy version of a melding of Game of Thrones with a little bit of the wizardry, sorcery of Lord of the Rings, kind of blending in with monsters and creatures, and it just that teaser, 3.5 minutes long or trailer was really good for me. But Stranger Things, I'm excited for it. I'm glad they're carrying it forward. I just hope it kind of is a little more akin to where it started and a little less of just having to try and feel like they have to replicate what they did early on.
Well,
if that makes sense.
For me, with Stranger Things, I have both similar and opposite feelings for you with of your feelings. The first season, everybody hyped up. It was like the thing, Stranger Things. I was a little late to the party. I finally watched it. And for me, the first season kind of felt like a trudge. Like I wasn't having a great time. It was like just interesting enough for me to get through, but it still took me like a few months to watch the whole thing. And then season 2, I was like, okay, I like some new characters that they're introducing. The story's interesting. We're getting some answers mixed with some questions, but still, I'm not loving it. Season 3, I loved. I really loved season 3. However, back to what you were saying, I did feel I was like, okay, this is the like upside down story, I think, or for the most part. I was like, I need something different. If we are going to continue forward, I love this cast, but I want a new story. And the Creel house, what they're showing in this teaser trailer, looks like even if there's like a thread line to the upside down, we're still getting a different story in a different environment, haunted house vibes, which I love, like Haunting a Hill House. So I'm more excited for season 4 than I've ever been preseason for Stranger Things.
Okay.
Now, all that to be said, our boy Henry Cavill coming back for The Witcher. I don't have a lot of background knowledge. I played Witcher 3 a little bit, but I have no speaking ground.
I know you love audiobooks like I do, because when you work really long hours, devouring books becomes a part of life. Podcasts and books are just what you do. And the Witcher books are really well done, well written. And Cavill, a comment right there. Cavill exclamation point. He's amazing. And there are opinions on whether or not he's the greatest Superman up to current, or he's going to be the greatest Superman of all time. And I would lean towards the all-time version, just to really stir the pot with some people watching. But I love him. And the fact is, he brings something to this character, to Geralt, that is, he brings the physicality, because Cavill can do that. That's the same thing he brings to Superman.
Pretty convincing with that swordplay.
Oh, yeah. I liken it to, he is as adept and well-versed with the sword as you would put Aragorn or Viggo Mortensen in Lord of the Rings. One of the things that they praised him for is he was a natural with the sword. And the same thing is said about Cavill, in that when he wields it, when he uses it in his training, it came second nature to him. And so it feels good and it feels natural in the show. Not only that, man, when they showed the little teaser of him, the black-eyed, kind of bloodshot around the eyes when he takes the elixir stuff, he is like, that did it for me.
Can I make one small Witcher complaint? I don't buy Yennefer as a character, nor do I the chemistry between the two. It needs work. I'm not saying it's impossible. It can be done, but it's not the strong point of the show, I think.
I will say the chemistry in the book builds better than the chemistry,
I believe you,
in the show. The chemistry, I can totally get on board with that. But matter of fact, that's one of the things I have to forgive the show for not doing well. Is this really hard to force chemistry? And if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And for that one, it just is a struggle.
I'm wondering if, for whatever reason, I haven't seen yet, maybe Man from U.N.C.L.E. Wasn't Alicia Vikander in Man from U.N.C.L.E.? Henry Cavill hasn't had great chemistry with many actresses that I've seen.
even Amy Adams in Man of Steel and
Not that
that
strong.
universe, not the most natural. I don't know what that is.
Yep.
He brings grunting too,
Yeah.
but he's it is hard to fake chemistry, and maybe it's just hasn't found that right spot on screen with somebody in order to really develop that or deliver it. But I think that's forgivable in the total story, even though that is part of what keeps drawing him back to her is that pull. So
Sorry,
sorry.
bad time to take a drink. I was like, oh, dead air. Well, yeah. So there was other things that Netflix dropped, but those are some of the things that I caught, was interested in. Um, I think it's already dropped. Mike Flanagan, creator of Haunting at Hill House and Haunting at Bly Manor, just had Midnight Mass on Netflix, and I'm hearing that is quite a show. And he also did Doctor Sleep, and I believe it was Video Drew on our channel last night was saying that it's the best thing Mike Flanagan's done. I'm like, that's quite a compliment. So I will have to give that a watch. Speaking of that late time television.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I kind of bailed on Netflix. It was a bunch of the same junk over and over and over again. So I kind of have to retune back in because I've been checked out with them and been on Disney Plus and HBO Max more than anything else
Well, it's
recently.
like the shows we watched had such long gaps, but now it looks like they're all coming back at the same time. And oh, here we go from Ambling Soul. Geralt and Yennefer are characters that are loners trying to navigate this crazy world. I like their stories separate from each other. I think I agree with that. I think I bought Yennefer more when we were following her. When they did the crossover and they were coming together, it didn't work for me as much. And I think I've heard and I'm hopeful that this season of The Witcher is a lot more linear. Not that it's a huge complaint, but I was a little lost in the first season. It kind of wraps up at the end, but they are doing a lot of different things. And I believe, am I remembering his name right? Is it, who's his buddy? Who's the minstrel?
Oh, dear goodness.
Yaskir? Yes. Something? Help us in the chat. I forget his name, but he's like my favorite part of that show.
Yeah, you always have to have that little bit of relief to kind of break the tension because it is a very tense show. Matter of fact, in the trailer, when they first I think it's one of the taverns or something, the lady sits down, says something, and it turns around and he just sits forward. Oh, and you're like, okay, good. Like we've got that little bit of break. This guy's going to be back. And yeah, for the life of me, I'm completely blanked on his name.
I think it's something it's a J that sounds like a Y, but I don't remember what it is. Do we have in the chat yet? Yeah, the Bard. What's his name? Anyways, okay, so moving on from Netflix. We don't have to talk about this very long, but I saw it when I was scrolling through articles and I was like, this is cool. A lot of people, including me, are very, very worried about Dune because it was expensive, because Denis Villeneuve doesn't have a great financial track record in the box office. He makes great movies, but they don't always do tremendous. Currently, Dune has crossed $80 million internationally. And granted, that's not with the theater's cut taken out, but 80 million is about half of what the budget of the film was, because I believe it's right around 160 million.
Which means they need to do what, about 320? You got to double your number in order to actually start making money once you add advertising and everything else back in.
Close to that. A theater takes about a third, and then you throw the marketing budget in there and stuff too. So yeah, something like that.
Well, okay, so if that's half of 80 million gets the marketing and theater cut back out of it, so there's still 160 million away, which is not crazy, especially because it's still going and it hasn't even launched in the U.S.
Yeah, and it's in its main market. Now, here's the problem. I know when we were talking to Maddie last week, he was saying that they have streaming services that HBO Max day and date things will come on, but it doesn't seem to be impacting the box office. I am still worried what the box office in America is going to look like when people can watch it at home, especially when it's a property that most people aren't sure about. There are fans of Dune, but it is so heady, it might have a hard time reaching new fans. Very hopeful. I'm telling everyone right now, I haven't seen it, but please go see it because I need the whole story. If we get Dune Part 1 and that's it, I will lose sleep for years.
We got our answer down there. Yaskir. Um,
I think I was close.
You were.
Yeah, I might have said that, but I wasn't sure. It didn't sound right.
You said something along the lines of Yeti or something like that.
Yeti, yeah, the Yeti is probably.
No, I'm with you. The streaming, the profitability of streaming is something that we don't get to see as fans. It doesn't go in the box office take, but that's really measured in new subscribers or people like myself. There's been multiple times I've wanted to cancel some of these things because you get so many subscriptions going that you're like, I could cut half of these things. I don't need them. But then they tease you with a movie like this, and you think to yourself, I'll hang on to it. Another month isn't going to hurt. So maybe they didn't get a new subscription out of me, but they kept me hanging on for another month. That in Wellington Paranormal. But
watch Wellington Paranormal.
It's really hard for for us to know how that is really going to affect the total dollars of a movie because it's not box office take. I have a feeling it will still take well over 100 million in the U.S. and the international market will continue to grow.
Do you think? Are you saying 100 million opening weekend?
No, I'm probably saying 100 million first 2 week combined. So maybe you're doing a 70-30 or a
okay,
an 80-20 because the fall off is pretty fast from week 1 to week 2.
It
but
is.
I think Dune might be better.
Very best you can hope for is usually around 50 to 55% as far as week 1 to week 2.
Yeah.
So far,
which is why I'm saying the 70-30, but still $100 million, and that combined with the international take it'll still make money. I think this movie is probably going to at least break even and get their money back.
Here's one of the things, and I believe I heard that Denis Villeneuve made a was in contract with Warner Brothers where I think that he might be guaranteed a part 2 regardless of performance because otherwise he was going to leave Warner Brothers because of the day and date thing because he was so pissed off. He wrote a giant editorial about wanting to go after Warner Brothers and talk about how much of a backstab it was. And so they had a lot of sucking up to do. Yes.
This is a great point that there are a lot of people who don't want to go with the crowd and will go second weekend so that there's less people. Great. See it the second weekend. That still helps bring home the take.
I love that. And
this is a movie I'll go by myself to see just because, you know how big my family is and $800 to see a movie with all 47 kids is just a bit much.
One of the things that is going to hurt it, though, in regards to the streaming is that we are people that see movies multiple times if we want to, especially with A-list, right? I think there's a lot of people out there that have HBO Max that might go out and see it opening weekend for theaters. And then when they want to watch it again, they're like, well, I don't need to go out again. I'll just watch it on HBO Max. I'll be honest.
You're going to get one-time view.
I did that with Suicide Squad. I really enjoyed Suicide Squad, but I was like, do I want to go through getting a ticket, having to go out, sit, take 2.5 hours? I was like, no, I'll put it on my TV where I can pause it, make food, move around because I've already seen it. And I hate that I have that option. I'm going to take advantage of the option because I have it, but I feel guilty about it. And whereas if I wanted to see it before, I would have to just make time for it and go out and give them my ticket money.
Well, as human beings, we are creatures of convenience. And if you have the ability to see it at home, a lot of people will see it at home because a lot of people don't appreciate the differential. They're not like you and I where they're cinephiles where you got to go see it in the theater. What they are is they're like, hey, I just want to see the movie. If I see it with full surround and everything in the background, great. If I don't, I see it in my house, cool. I'll just make sure everyone's quiet. There is a different feel to certain movies that you have to see in the theater.
Yeah. Dune is made for theaters. Denis has said it himself. And I don't know. I think, and it just feels weird to say, but I feel like HBO should follow a little bit of the Disney Plus method, and there should be some kind of premium. If you're seeing something the same time it's in theaters, there should be a premium to make its money back. Well, not $30.
No, especially because Disney Plus is $6.99 and HBO Max is $15 a month. And while I'm already paying $10 extra, but would I be willing to pay $15 extra to see a theater release day one?
Yeah, how about 10 or 15?
Yeah, a little bit of a markup just to kind of add to it.
You have a streaming service, and for you're paying a couple bucks per body. except for I'm sure Dune's not really a family film, but
Yeah,
maybe
totally.
Shauna will watch
Well,
it with
and
you, I don't know.
Shauna will probably watch Dune with
Okay,
me.
cool.
We'll see, but it's
Just say it's Space Lord of the Rings.
it's what inspired Star Wars. If there was no Dune, there is no Star Wars.
Whoa, I didn't know that. They're trying to do something right now, but that's also like, again, why are you not charging for these movies if you're only charging like $8 a month? How are you making money?
They're gambling on this being the future.
Well, AT&T had Warner Brothers and like controlled like HBO Max and stuff for a while. They're all about to be bought up by Discovery, and we'll see how many changes there are. There's a lot of people online saying that people are going to get laid off left and right at Warner Brothers because poor decisions are being made.
If you really want to hear a long discussion about this, go back to a year and a half ago when Jesse and I had one of the first Flick and Reel episodes on just audio before we did the video portion. And we talked about the future of cinema as far as because how COVID had affected it. And one of those things was how many subscriptions can people actually have? Bundled subscriptions are going to be the future because eventually we're going to get back to the point where you just have a cable subscription and that's all included. But instead of paying $100 for cable a month, now everyone's paying $8 each for 8 different or 15 different subscriptions, and you end up paying $120 anyways. The bundles, if we can get Discovery, get HBO Max, get some of these things all lumped together and get a cheaper rate to be able to have more product. That's where it's
Disney
be
Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN, $12, $13 a month.
Yep.
Granted, I use somebody else's Hulu. I don't care about ESPN, so I just pay for Disney Plus. But it's there for you if you want it.
Oh, you can totally do that, and it makes for a better purchase per dollar when you get the bundle together. And that's how many different things are you going to subscribe to? And if you have people on a limited income or that don't want 5 different subscriptions, you have to make a choice. Do I care more about the shows on Netflix, or do I care more about the shows on HBO Max, or do I care more about Disney?
Well said. So I think that's all there is to say about Dune. We'll move on to our final topic. That is, of course, unless anyone can think of any movie or TV news stories that happened this week that we missed. If you want us to take any time on it, let us know what it is on our Streamlabs, and that's streamlabs.com/flickinreel. Donate and engage in the conversation. Look forward to it. All right, so this has been one of the biggest stories of the week, if not the month, and that is currently Marvel/Disney is fighting back for the rights to the characters of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and many others. And this is because, well, you know what? I'm going to go to the article here and get some, I don't paraphrase too much here. Essentially, the heirs of the creators. Oops, signal's going. Give me a second.
You're back now for me.
Okay. It's probably because I'm trying to open up the page. All right. Let's go here. So
yeah, with Stan
Disney
Lee passing, who did it all pass to?
The family members and things. Let's see. I'm opening it up here. Disney and Marvel are suing the heirs of many legendary comic book creators, including Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Gene Colan. They are looking to terminate the copyrights of characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, the Falcon, and several other heroes under termination provisions of copyright law that states authors or heirs can reclaim the rights to the material they've created once a statutory set period of time has passed. So we're looking at kind of like when other studios would borrow things like Sony had Spider-Man, Fox had Daredevil, Ghost Rider, stuff like that. When it hits a lapse period, if you don't like use it for a set period of time or something like that, then the characters get pulled from you. And I think Marvel and Disney are trying to make it to, it's like, no, we're the sole owners of this. It's ours. Screw your time frames, which mixed feelings because like, don't bully the creators. I think this is something that's going to be handled out of court. I think they're going to.
It was already done once out of court.
Right. I think again, they're going to come to a settlement.
That use it or lose it mentality is what kept Sony pushing out Spider-Man every couple years just so they didn't lose control of the property. So after Tobey Maguire was done in the Sam Raimi trilogy, they came back with Andrew Garfield because they didn't want to lose control of the property and they had to keep pushing stuff out. And they were in the same position when they dumped Amazing Spider-Man 3 and decided not to move forward. Then they were put in this spot of what do we do with it, or we're going to lose it, and then is Marvel going to pick it up? And so you're stuck in this spot. So that idea of if you don't use the property, then you basically release it back. We already saw Sony clinging to dear life for Spider-Man once before.
And I think that the best scenario is that this is settled out of court, because I believe these families, and it's a shame that the creators didn't get more money up front, the ones that have passed on since, that were not well enough, what's what I'm looking for, financially covered for all the things that they've given us, and now it's left to the heirs. Like outside of Stan Lee, I think there's a lot of creators that were screwed by film studios, and that's Marvel and Disney included. There's articles that came out recently about somebody getting like $5,000 for the rights to their character that they were going to use in a Marvel film. I was like, that's
$5,000
$5,000
for intellectual property.
Yeah, for an IP that Marvel was going to use, and I was like, that's tragic. So I think they're
going to make billions,
right?
Off of these
give the families they're like, honestly, the creators are more responsible for the characters than the actors portraying them that you're paying $10 million to do so.
But
I'm not saying every creator
Disney
needs $10 million.
I don't like to poo-poo on people, but Disney has a long history of greed and manipulating contracts. And look at what's going on with Scarlett Johansson right now, and the way the breach of contract with her and how they handled it. There's all kinds of issues that Disney has, and they just throw money at it, and they can get away with it because they throw money, they keep it out of the courts, and then they go to the courts for things like copyright, and they have laws altered so that they can maintain properties outside of their copyright window. And I know that you have to reapply for copyrights and things like that, but Disney has a long history of doing this kind of stuff, and they get away with it because they have the deepest pockets in Hollywood. I mean, they own everything.
Yeah, I think we're getting some really good comments, and here's a great discussion. Yeah, I gotta feel bad for, like, because not everyone is an heir to a creator. There's creators that are still around, and I think that they absolutely need to be given their share. But I do believe that Disney and Marvel are probably the best hands for these properties to be in. And they're
going to make the best quality product out of them.
Right. We don't need more hands in the kitchen than there already are. Kevin Feige does not need more to deal with, or more people to, does this mean that they'd be getting stocks or executive producers or something like that? It's like, no, just give them the money. I hate saying this because it sounds wrong, but it's like, give them the money. Shh. But like, make sure it's enough money. Don't insult them, which I feel like is an issue that's happened for a long time in the past. Look at like Bob Kane with Batman and like Bill Finger. Like, they did not get credit or like, the rights until like post-mortem. And it's
well, and Disney unfortunately holds a lot of these people captive as well by saying, hey, listen, we'll buy this, we'll use this character, pay you a small portion to be able to use the character, make tons of money off of it. Okay, that's great. But then they can also tell the creators or the that, okay, fine, if you don't want to sell it to us, we won't use it, and your character will make $0 because it doesn't affect Sony. They'll just plug some other deep offset character into some of these places and be able to make bank off of them. This is great information
all the
from
facts.
Ambling Soul. Yeah,
absolutely. If you guys check out the chat, Galaxy's asking, do you think Sony will jump into this? Because I haven't heard many people bring up the Sony side of everything.
Well, Sony's got to be in deep with a lot of this because they're tied with the Spider-Man portion. They are sharing portions of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Sony. The fact that they have properties like Venom, Morbius, there's several characters within that universe, and they are co-owners to Spider-Man still. They're basically leasing it to Sony or to Marvel. So Sony has to get involved in this somehow because of the fact that they have a vested
more
interest.
Responsible for paying up for like the copyright, the trade, or the copyright and the trademarks for the Spider-Man character? Is it Sony or Marvel? It's originally a Marvel character, but Sony's the one that's profiting from the character. So is that pulled from their pockets? I got to imagine so.
I would say it's most likely a split between the two based on which property specifically is being cited. Anything that's kind of shared MCU property, you would have to have equal parts in that. But then that's also going to give a leg for Disney to say, hey, we want more control moving forward. We don't have to share it or be at risk of having it go backwards.
And Ambling saying Sony probably wants Disney to pay for the Spider-Man issue with their other arguments.
Yeah. Well, Sony is only making money off of Spider-Man because of Marvel.
But I think if it gets to that, I mean, there's so many ways that this could get really complicated. I think if it gets to that, Disney will be like, yeah, okay, but now we're going to take this percentage from the Spider-Man movies.
Now, mind you, these are corporations arguing over profits in the billions.
Yeah.
Profits. That means after everything's paid, in the billions. And they're arguing over individual characters and paying people a small fraction. But nobody wants to cut profits because that goes to the shareholders and the people at the top. And Sony doesn't want to foot the bill. Disney doesn't want to foot the bill. And so they're probably going to work some compromise in there. But that's the risk. Then does Marvel take a larger percentage of the take?
You want to hear something funny? I just did a quick Google search. You want to know in 1999 how much Sony paid for the rights to Spider-Man?
It's probably ridiculously low. $100,000.
I mean, it's more than that, but when you think about the property and what it's brought in,
$5 million,
$10 million, $10 million for Spider-Man in 1999
for a franchise that is now pumping out its 8th independent movie.
Every film has been profitable to varying degrees, but every film has brought in more than $10 million.
Every movie has done at least 200 million. Has got to be the lowest. And you have like Spider-Man 2 is one of those like globally $600 million movies plus.
I like what Galaxy says is that what looks really bad is this argument is happening right before Venom. What looks even worse is the film Venom itself, but that's another discussion.
You took my statement. Carnage looks. I don't want to give credit to the name Carnage.
Do you want to come hate watch it with me
Carnage?
Do you want to come hate watch it with me next Friday? Because I'm going to get tickets, and I'm like, I need somebody to just like crap on it later.
I might.
Did you see the pictures?
Usually trailers make you feel better about it, and it makes it worse. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Is it going to be a good story and a good plot line and everything? No. Is it going to be large, over-the-top action sequences that are going to be ridiculously layered with CGI and fun to watch? Yeah, it's going to be entertaining, but entertaining does not equal good. And there's a difference between the two. It will be entertaining to watch, but it will not be good.
I need the picture of Ultron going, I can't physically throw up in my mouth because I saw a TV spot and it was Venom at a rave with glow sticks.
With the glow sticks wrapped around him.
What?
That was the last trailer I saw of it. I watched that and went, okay. Well, whatever. Like
Venom is like a turd floating in the wind.
Also, the worst quote from a movie ever. I'll be
there with a toad being struck by lightning.
Oh my! What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything when it's struck by lightning. Wow! Thank you, Storm.
You're a professor. Oy. Okay.
Nope.
The beginning.
The movie is just going to be absolutely crazy, like the first one. Exactly. It'll be crazy. It'll be entertaining, but it won't. I think there's something we have to differentiate here is the difference between a good movie and an entertaining movie. Some movies are both, but they are not mutual, or they're not perfectly intertwined all the time. Some movies you can watch and go, that had entertainment value and I can find some pleasure in it, but it's not good. Venom 1, which was better than I thought it was going to be, and still was not a great movie, but it's entertaining.
For any of you that missed the beginning of the show, Scott came on here with some warm-up trivia. That was a lot of fun, and I just want to remind you guys, if you want to offer up a genre or something we could explore in our beginning of the show trivia, donate to the Streamlabs link down there on the bottom, and let's get some suggestions there.
This way. The comment down here in the corner, if the writing is not there, the movie falls apart. Amen. You have to start with a good story. That lacked completely in the first Venom, and judging from the trailer, and again, we can't judge a book
and
by
we
its
finally,
cover.
After like decades of wanting Venom and Carnage, we're getting Venom and Carnage, and I have not been less excited for a comic book movie since Dark Phoenix.
Oh, just so many things to say, but we'll wait till it comes out, and then we'll have an actual assessment of it.
Yeah,
it might be exactly what we just said.
And everyone's like, "Oh, well, don't make your mind up before you watch it." I'm like, "Okay, fine." I thought the first Venom looked awful, and I hate that movie. This could surprise me. I've been surprised. I've come in with negative expectations and walked away surprised before. I think maybe the first Kingsman might have been an example of that. But there's movies out there that pleasantly surprised me.
Oh, the first Kingsman, I thought this just looks like a really crappy Bond knockoff type movie, and it turned out to be outstanding.
It looked like a mix of James Bond and X-Men First Class.
Yes.
And maybe some Hunger Games vibes and stuff. I was like, I don't care about this.
And somewhere between now and the next 4 years, The King's Man is going to finally come out, isn't it?
4, 5, 6, something like that, yeah. Galaxy says, I'm worried it's only 90 minutes of runtime.
I told you that's not enough time for story and action. It's going to be action. Opening scene to the end. You can't develop a proper story in 90 minutes.
After credits, I can be in and out of the theater in 2 hours. Thank the Lord.
And that means you can also show up probably 10 minutes late with all the credits before the movie, see just what you need to see, and then be like, peace, I'm out. I'm more excited for Morbius than I am for Venom and Carnage.
Yeah. I mean, Morbius doesn't look great, but I'm more interested in it because it looks
better than this.
It could follow an interesting, it looks like an interesting interpretation of the
I feel weird bagging on it because I know I'm going to enjoy the movie entertainment-wise because I can find the good in anything. My number one strength on Strength Finders is positivity. I can find the good thing about anything.
Well, let's just be a toxic fan community and spend all of our time trying to find. We're going to test Scott. We're going to bring up as many awful films as we can and be like, Scott, what's good about this movie? Go. And it'll just be like a weekly challenge.
Oh, hey, if I'm going to quiz you weekly, then you tell me this. I'm more excited about Eternals. Exactly, Galaxy Geek. That's
obviously.
I'm actually more excited about Eternals than I am about No Way Home Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like,
which is hard to say.
Are you more excited for a turd floating in the wind or Academy Award winning Chloe Zhao and an incredible cast second only to Dune?
I'm going to take Eternals.
Yeah,
for 500, Alex.
500.
Except for who's the coach? Oh, it's I can't say Alex anymore because that was the catchphrase. But
nobody knows. It keeps changing. Everyone wants LeVar, but he's like, nope, I'm out.
But the temporary, the guy they picked got in some deep trouble, and now what's her name? Mayim Bialik, the lady who was on Big Bang Theory. Either way, the
Batman. Batman. And
yeah,
I want to
someday
see a Flash teaser, maybe.
Dude, that would be amazing. Or
Black Adam.
Don't tease me with Black Adam.
Lit. I'm so excited. I love DC fandom last year. That was a lot of fun. We got a lot of good stuff, and they have way more projects filming right now than they did last year.
If there's a teaser that comes out for Black Adam or The Flash, I'll be through the moon.
Listen,
because Shazam or Shazam too. Let's throw a little something out there.
Fury of the Gods. Let's see that.
I saw there's the future for DC is looking really good as far as those properties.
I saw Dwayne Johnson posted his last day of shooting a few weeks ago for Black Adam. So it's in the can, and we've seen multiple times. Example, Batman. After a month or two of shooting, they had a teaser for us. or Guardians of the Galaxy had been filming for like 2 weeks and they had a teaser. So Black Adam's done, and it's still a month or half a month, I think, away at DC Fandom. So we should get something from Black Adam, more than just a concept art.
If we get The Rock in the suit, layered in lightning, I will be fully satisfied.
I love that they said that they couldn't pad the suit. They're like, it would just been too ridiculous.
Zachary Levi was less padded in his suit because he actually has bulked up. By the way, there's a movie coming out, Zachary Levi, where he plays. It's the true story of Kurt Warner's football movie, and Zachary Levi will play Kurt Warner, which looks really good. But anyways, he has bulked up quite well. In the new Shazam pictures, he is less padded suit than original padded suit. And when you look at the two side by side, it's like, wow, they really were trying to help him out. This one looks much better. But The Rock, at least they're not CGI grafting the suit on like they did with Green Lantern. He actually has a suit. But I'm super pumped to see this one.
Absolutely. Excited to see the new Flash suit. I would love, just give me like 10 seconds of Michael Keaton back in the suit. I just...
You won't get 10 seconds. What you're going to get is one, like, 2-frame segment.
He's going to turn around. He's just going to turn around in the costume. But you know what? That might be enough for me. All right. Well, that is our last topic today. I thought we were blazing through them. Then we hit Netflix, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, we got a lot of things to say about Netflix."
Yeah, there's always something to say about Netflix. But you and I could talk about every one of these topics ad nauseum for forever.
I just thought with the topics today, it was a good day to have just the two of us because I figured it's going to be right around an hour. Is Ambling Soul. Thank you for joining us on both YouTube and Twitch. That's right. We are now streaming through currently Sean Wingblades or Watching with Wingblades Twitch channel. We might be doing some restructuring with that at some point, but for right now, that's where you can find us on Twitch. Also on my Facebook profile, we're live, but mainly you can find us here on YouTube. Just search Flick and Reel at any point and come visit us again. But also, we are on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that good stuff. That is where you will find our Monday show. The Sunday Speakeasy is a YouTube exclusive. That one will not be hitting the podcast.
Shout out to Sean Wingblade. Last night's Speakeasy was outstanding. You guys should go back, check it out. Make sure to like and subscribe. Absolutely. And share it around. We need to get to those 200 subs, please, and thank yous. Now stealing Wingblade's Twitch, or is it the other way around? Where it's all one giant hostile takeover. So again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been Jesse and Sean with the Flick and Reel Fancast. Until next time, keep it real. Boom. Hey everyone, Jesse here, and don't exit out quite yet. While I have you, I want to take just a quick second to talk with you about something that's very important to me. Right now on the Flick and Reel channel, we're just a couple guys sitting around and speaking geek, but we think that we can build into something greater. We think that we can build a community, a place for all of us to come together and talk about our thoughts and experiences about various types of fandoms. For this to happen, though, we do need your help, so please do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. Along with that, click that little bell icon that notifies you anytime that we upload new content for your viewing pleasure. So again, thank you so much for stopping by and visiting us this week. We hope we'll see you again next week. And just remember, until then, keep it real.